Hello, human family, and welcome back to our Hugelkultur Bed Part 2. This is part of our preparation series where we are going to get ready. And so, picking up where we left off. Here you can see the final frame we left off was Hugelkultur Bed not complete. We have cardboard exposed, we have a lot of that tiny brush exposed, some leaves and manure on top. And so moving on from here. The first layer I added onto here was soil. So just a nice soil layer. And so I've been working on a couple different projects. One of those projects being a fire pit. That's where a lot of this soil came from. Was just digging out the fire pit, moving the soil over to the hugelkultur bed. A second place, because here you can see this is more soil. This comes from my second project, which is establishing the root vegetable bed, which is going directly in the ground. And so, while working on the root vegetable bed, took some of the soil from there to bring over to the hugelkultur bed. And here you can see it's not smoothed out yet, but we want to start creating this mound effect. Here, we smoothed it out. We have a tiny mound. Usually when you do these types of setups, the mounds are way bigger, but because it's just in our backyard, and just in my backyard, I'm gonna keep it pretty simple, pretty small, pretty tiny. But here, this is just soil. And so now it's nice and smoothed out. Everything is covered up. One thing that was really nice, it's been doing lots of raining. And so it was extremely easy to move the soil as well as seeing he has some nutritious soil for the root vegetable bed. So got a couple worms in there as well. So here, this is gonna be the next layer I'm gonna be adding on top. It's gonna be some compost. I'm just showing the type of compost I picked up. Got that at Home Depot. I'm not a compost expert. There's compost. I'm not sure which compost is better than any other compost. This is literally just one I picked out from Home Depot. And so, if you are a compost expert, go ahead, leave it a comment in the description box, so we get some more information. Because things get so much more complicated the better you get at things. We're not even talking about nitrogen or carbon or those more detailed aspects yet. So here, now you can see that we are adding the compost on top of the soil. I was mixing a little bit of the compost with the soil initially, just adding a nice layer. And then after that soil compost mixture, I just did straight compost on top. And so here you can see I'm starting to pour the compost. And then we're going to rake it out. We're going to make sure it's nice and even and covering the entire bed. Now here, this is where I've put the compost, layered it on top, and just started to even it out. This is just the starting process, but that top layer is all compost. And you can see how we have a small mound starting to develop here, everything happening in different layers. I used 2 bags of compost, and that first frame, the frame before this was about 1 bag. This is the frame with both bags of compost, and it turned out to be a good amount of compost. I believe it was enough for the garden bed. It was definitely enough to cover that top layer of soil mixture that we had, and so I felt like it was enough. We're going to find out during growing season how it works out. Here, I gave everything a nice spray. Sprayed everything down, make sure things are nice, wet, when we start adding these layers, keep it nice and moist. Now, I've been lucky. It's been doing lots of raining lately, and that rain has really been helping out the soil and just things breaking down. So the rain definitely helps. But yeah, everything's just sprayed down and wet. Here we started to add our mulch. So I used 2 buckets of mulch at this point. I had to leave to go get more mulch and come back. And the thing with the mulch, you really want to cover everything. Everything needs to be covered with the mulch because the mulch is going to protect it from the heat. And here in Colorado, that sun, it will dry up the soil so fast. And so I really wanted to be careful with the mulch. I really wanted to make sure I had enough mulch. And so this is 2 buckets worth of mulch. Luckily, there's a free mulch place to get free mulch here, thanks to the city and the forestry department. So definitely look into that. Here is the second when I went to go get the additional bucket of mulch. Here is additional 3rd bucket of mulch. And it was nice, but I think I needed to still add more mulch. There's nothing exposed, but there's certain areas that it is a very thin layer. And that sun, it gets so hot. I really want to make sure that everything is nice and covered. So I'm going to add 1 more bucket of mulch onto this. And here you can see our little seedlings. They are doing super well. The little seedlings, these are the first ones we planted. And so issues that I've noticed when doing this germinating process: protect certain seeds from the birds, from the squirrels, because they will come and mess up some of my little seedlings, some of your lowly seedlings. So that's one thing to pay close attention to. You have to protect it from the birds and the squirrels. So we'll come up with a system to do that for our next batch. Here, these are our herbs. I planted these approximately a couple days after I did the first one, and these are doing pretty well. They're starting to come through. They're looking good. The birds and the squirrels didn't mess with the herbs as much as they did with the vegetables. So it's coming together. It is a nice little project. I'm very happy with doing the Hugel bed for my main vegetables, and just doing I'll go over the vegetable build, the vegetable garden bed that I'm building. I'll go into more detail later on down the line with that one. But this is going to complete the Hugelkultur build. I'm going to add 1 more bucket full of mulch on top, and we're going to be ready for planting, which will happen in our next video. So, thank you everybody for sticking around to the end. It has been a pleasure. Let me know in the description box how your gardening is going, how your season is going so far, if you have any crazy stories or anything. And yeah, let's grow our own food. So, everybody take care. Love and light leads the way. And God bless.